Long before modern science emerged, there was a civilization that seamlessly merged spirituality and scientific inquiry. This is Sanatana Dharma, often called Hinduism, the eternal philosophy that has shaped human understanding for millennia. At its heart lies a profound truth. Science and spirituality are not opposing forces. They are interconnected paths leading to the ultimate knowledge of the universe and our place within it. The Indian civilization was once home to rishis, pandits, whom we know as professors, philosophers, theologians, astronomers, cosmologists, doctors, engineers, artists, etc. Education in ancient India was a sacred pursuit, and knowledge was revered as the highest virtue. The Gurukul system was the cornerstone of this ethos. Under the guidance of gurus, students delved into subjects ranging from philosophy and science to astronomy and medicine. This holistic system emphasized character building, discipline, and spiritual growth alongside academic learning. Nalanda University, established in 700 BCE, was the world's first international university. Students traveled from China, Persia, Greece, and beyond to study subjects as diverse as mathematics, cosmology, medicine, and the fine arts. With over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers, Nalanda symbolized the golden age of learning in India. Nalanda was more than an academic hub. It was a vibrant fusion of ideas, languages, and cultures. Its diverse curriculum embodied the expansive vision of Sanatana Dharma, blending sacred and secular knowledge. Yet it fell victim to invaders, losing countless priceless books and scriptures. The wisdom of Sanatana Dharma is preserved in two modes of scriptures: Shruti, meaning that which is heard, and Smriti, meaning that which is remembered. The Vedas, Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, fall under Shruti, while Smriti includes epics like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, along with Puranas. The Rig Veda, the oldest known text, contains hymns praising natural forces and exploring the universe's mysteries. It is here that we find profound insights into astronomy, mathematics, and cosmology, often couched in poetic verses. The Atharva Veda, meanwhile, delves into practical knowledge, from medicine and engineering to ethics and governance. The Mahabharata and Ramayana, apart from being epic tales, encapsulate knowledge about human psychology, statecraft, and more. For instance, Gandhari's 100 sons in the Mahabharata are said to have been created by splitting a single embryo into 100 parts, a process resembling cloning in today's terms. Ancient rishis proved scientific theories over thousands of years ago. Hinduism, known as the world's oldest religion, is also referred to as Sanatana Dharma, the eternal law, or eternal way. It encompasses diverse spiritual ideas and traditions, without a governing body, religious authorities, or specific holy books. Though there is no defined start, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, often called the Song of God, is considered the latest scripture. This worldview eliminates the noise surrounding the argument that science and religion are incompatible, offering a clearer and more harmonious understanding of their coexistence. The dualist view of science, historically rooted in the ancient Western world, has limited the scope of science to what we understand today. However, this was not the case in ancient Greece, during the Islamic Golden Age, or in Vedic India. These civilizations embraced both dualist and non-dualist perspectives, recognizing that to truly seek knowledge, one must remain open to all possibilities. This inclusive approach could be the key to a broader acceptance today of the conceptual compatibility between science and religion. The ancient Greeks, the Ottoman Empire, and the intellectual centers of other religions learned much from the Vedic schools of science, which promoted an integrated view of knowledge. At an epistemological level, these belief systems reveal two different yet complementary views of the same reality. On a practical level, the alliance between religion and science provides a more sensible framework, helping to suppress the rise of religious fundamentalism. This partnership demonstrates that one doesn't have to surrender their religion to advance in scientific understanding. According to Hindu tradition, Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism, is considered to have existed since time immemorial. Unlike the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Hinduism has no single founder. Instead, it is a timeless and evolving tradition. Sage Vyasa, who is said to have lived over 10,000 years ago, is credited with compiling and organizing the vast body of knowledge contained in the Vedas, dividing them into 4 parts: the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Samaveda, and the Atharva Veda. In earlier times, these teachings were passed down orally until they were formalized by Vyasa. Contrary to popular misconceptions that Hinduism is purely mystical and concerned only with transcendental spiritual practices, but it has long been a source of profound contributions to global civilization. Over the course of more than 5 millennia, Hinduism has shaped the development of diverse fields such as science, mathematics, astronomy, philosophy, art, and governance. Hinduism has never been a rigid dogmatic religion, but a spiritual and intellectual tradition that encourages inquiry and embraces both the spiritual and material realms. Sanatana Dharma is often hailed as the oldest, first, and last scientific religion. It is believed to have given the world the foundational principles of science, literature, politics, diplomacy, architecture, medicine, economics, and even the freedom to live life according to one's own path, while considering the importance of karma. The contributions of Hinduism to the world include epochal advances in metallurgy, medicine, grammar, music, dance, and various other disciplines. Hindu scriptures are rich with both practical and esoteric observations, offering insights into everything from the nature of the universe to the art of living. Some of Hinduism's most significant contributions include its system of organized education. The concept of the Gurukul, Pathshala, or places of study, dates back thousands of years. The Upanishads, circa 1000 to 800 BCE, mention multiple Gurukulas, including the one established by Guru Drona in Gurgaon. The Vedic educational system prescribed that individuals be educated before the age of 8 and remain celibate students until the age of 25. This system ensured that knowledge was passed down from teacher to student in a structured and disciplined manner. The Vedic scriptures, known as the Veda Samhita, consist of hymns dedicated to various deities, as well as hymns praising all forms of knowledge. The Vedas make no distinction between sacred and secular knowledge, as both were believed to be part of the same continuum in the quest for truth. This inclusive framework allowed knowledge to be interpreted in various ways: spiritually, terrestrially, and even cosmologically. For example, many Vedic hymns dealing with cosmology reveal a deep understanding of geometry, suggesting that the ancient rishis were well versed in the mathematical planning required to construct complex structures. Although the Vedas are not primarily texts on mathematics, they contain numerous mathematical concepts. The Vedic tradition included advanced ideas such as progressions, infinity, and the concept of zero, all of which point to the existence of mathematics as a formal study long before it was recognized as such in the Western world. Vedic mathematics, for instance, consists of 16 sutras, formulae, and 13 sub-sutras, sub-formulae, that help solve complex arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and calculus problems with speed and accuracy. One of the most famous figures in the history of Indian science and mathematics is Aryabhata, who lived during the Golden Age of India between 476 and 550 CE. Aryabhata made revolutionary discoveries, including the spherical shape of the Earth, the concept of the Earth's rotation on its axis, and the calculation of the number of days in a year. Aryabhata's monumental work, Aryabhata Siddhanta, is lost, but his other work, Aryabhatiya, provides profound insights into mathematics and astronomy. In particular, his work on trigonometry, the approximation of pi, and time calculations is notable. Aryabhata was among the first to calculate pi's value as 3.1416, almost 1,300 years before European mathematicians proved its irrationality. Aryabhata's estimation of the Earth's circumference was remarkably accurate. He calculated it to be approximately 39,968 kilometers, just 0.27% off the modern figure of 40,075 kilometers. This precision was achieved without the aid of modern tools like chronometers or standardized measurement units. Aryabhata's groundbreaking ideas about astronomy and mathematics were later absorbed and further developed by Persian and Arabian scholars during the Islamic Golden Age. Vedic texts also present a unique view of time. Hindu cosmology describes the universe as going through 4 great epochs, or yugas, which are cycles of cosmic creation and destruction. These yugas are vast periods of time that stretch beyond human comprehension, symbolizing the cyclical and never-ending nature of existence. These align closely with modern astrophysical theories of cyclical time in the universe. Hinduism's understanding of time, with its immense scales and cyclical processes, is one of the many ways in which it merges scientific observation with spiritual insight. In essence, Hinduism has been both a spiritual path and a wellspring of scientific knowledge. Its vast contributions to mathematics, astronomy, medicine, education, and other fields demonstrate a profound relationship between religion and science, one that does not require a division between the two, but rather a recognition of their complementary nature. This integrated worldview offers a more balanced understanding of both the physical and metaphysical aspects of existence. The Rig Veda contains astonishing insights into the cosmos. It describes Earth's movement. This Earth is devoid of hands and legs, yet it moves ahead. All objects on the Earth also move with it. This verse, composed thousands of years ago, highlights an understanding of Earth's rotation and revolution long before modern astronomy. Similarly, it explains the heliocentric model, stating that the Sun is the center and planets revolve around it due to gravitational forces. In this verse, it is said, "The Sun moves in its own orbit, but holding Earth and other heavenly bodies in a manner that they do not collide with each other through force of attraction." Ancient Indian texts delved into complex scientific concepts that we associate with modern physics. This verse describes gravity's force. The Sun has tied Earth and other planets through attraction and moves them around itself. Long before Newton formalized the theory of gravity, Vedic scholars had understood this fundamental force. In the 14th century, Sayana, a renowned Vedic scholar, made a remarkable statement. "With deep respect, I bow to the Sun, who travels 2202 yojanas in half a nimesha." To understand the significance of this, let's break it down. A yojana, as defined in Vedic texts, is roughly 9 miles, while a nimesha is only 16 by 75th of a second. Using these units, we can calculate the speed, which equals 185,794 miles per second, or approximately 299,000 kilometers per second. Astonishingly, this value is incredibly close to the modern scientific figure of 300,000 kilometers per second, the speed of light. It's widely believed that Sayana derived this insight from none other than the ancient Vedic texts, which contain deep scientific knowledge far ahead of its time. While eclipses have long been feared and often linked to ominous and paranormal events, the Vedas already had a scientific explanation for them. For instance, the Vedas correctly understood that the moon does not emit its own light, but rather reflects the sun's light. This level of understanding reflects a sophisticated grasp of astronomy. Sanatana Dharma's integration of science and spirituality wasn't a mere coincidence. It was a deliberate pursuit of understanding the universe in its totality, physical, metaphysical, and spiritual. And this is just the beginning of our journey.